welcome back to Conference Championship Week in the Preacher and the Prodigy. It is week 14, unofficially, coming off week 13, in which some interesting things happened. Your Michigan Wolverines defeated the Ohio State Buckeyes for the third time in 3 years, making me so happy I'm letting your sisters do my hair for the podcast. My hair is parted on the other side. It looks a little wild. But, you know, it's a celebratory thing. It's just all out of place, and it's feeling its own kind of little party after a 30-24 victory over the Buckeyes.
We didn't get the blowout that we would have if Connor Stallions was still there. But we still win. A win's a win. We're moving on to Indy. So
great football game overall. Well played by both sides. Michigan dealt with a couple of key injuries mid-game, but were able to withstand the final drive by Ohio State. Jalen Harrell pressuring Kyle McCord into a critical interception that sealed the game for Michigan, 30-24, sending Michigan to the Big Ten championship game. A lot of other championship games were set, but a few were decided in the last week.
Yeah, even one, I think the Mountain West Championship had computers decided because they had a three-way tie at the top of their conference, which is going to make one fan base clearly not happy.
How did that all turn out? Who's going to play?
So it's going to be Boise State and UNLV. San Jose State got gypped out of it after just beating UNLV last week, I think. So it's going to be Boise and UNLV. UNLV having the best overall record.
This was done by an algorithm inside of some desktop tower in Commissioner's
announced overnight. So we feel you, San Jose State community, but then again, we don't because we are in a championship.
Yeah. Feels like this is the most exciting conference championship week in a few years.
I feel like it was, and I think it was made even more exciting by what happened in rivalry week, where it was a lot of look-ahead games. Like, a good amount of the championship games were decided before rivalry week took place. So teams like Washington had a scare, Florida State had a scare.
Alabama, 4th and 30. Fourth and goal from the 31. Jalen
Gravedigger play.
Isaiah Bond.
I mean, even Louisville, who lost in a rivalry game in the Governor's Cup to Kentucky.
Former Texas A&M head coach Mark Stoops. Not so much.
Not anymore.
It's been a big week also of coaching changes and
transfer portals.
So we'll probably talk about that next week in our year-end wrap-up, what we might be seeing in terms of the carousel, in terms of guys looking for new homes, better fits. For their talents. It's going to be a very busy couple of weeks after Conference Championship Week as we head into bowl season and the playoffs. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. As we look at the season stats, we are both deadlocked.
33 and 22.
At a highly respectable 60% win rate, 33 and 22 after another pretty good week for both of us at 3-2.
Yeah. So, no one got the Dort Northwestern game.
No one had that picked at 7-0, surprisingly. We should have seen that coming.
That was probably the one surprise of the week is, like, we only scored 7 points. That doesn't hardly ever happen.
Yeah.
I don't know the last time that happened, especially against Dort.
Yeah.
It was not pretty, but we got the job done.
Yeah, something in the water for both teams in the Sioux County rural water system. 7-0, Northwestern wins, moves on. 4 teams left in the NAIA, and we'll be eagerly watching kickoff against St. Xavier at noon on Saturday. But let's get into the big-time stuff. Conference championship games for our Power 5 leagues beginning tomorrow night.
All right. Number 1, we got the Big 12 championship.
That's not tomorrow night, is it?
We want to start with chronological order because tomorrow night we'll go with the big game. We can go to Las Vegas, where the number 5 Oregon Ducks will be playing a rematch against the number 3 now Washington Huskies. Ducks are a 10-point favorite despite the ranking underdog. We are tied. Who's going to go first?
I'll let you pick.
10 is a lot. I would definitely pick the Ducks to win this game, but 10 points, I don't know. Give me Washington to cover this one. It's going to be close. I think it's going to be a back-and-forth game. The defense does come through for the Ducks because they clearly have the better one, but I think that 10 points is a lot of points. when you're betting against a team that beat Oregon earlier in the year. So give me the Washington Huskies.
I wish we knew how well these teams traveled, because obviously both of them are leaving the Pacific Northwest to go to the desert Southwest in Vegas. I've said for a while I think Oregon is the best team in the country. I'm going to go Ducks on this one. I think the Ducks win this game by 17 points. I'm going with a Quack Attack to win. I just think that they have gotten... I mean, the trajectories of the two teams have gone in different directions. Washington is kind of steady, leveled out with a couple of close wins. The defense has not looked great. Oregon has won convincingly in each one of their games. I'm going Oregon to win and cover this game and storm their way into a 3 or 4 seed in the college football playoff.
All right, we disagree. Game number 2. Now the Big 12 Championship. This is an 11 o'clock kickoff in Jerry World Stadium, I believe. It is the upstart Oklahoma State Cowboys against the number 7 Texas Longhorns. Longhorns are favored by a massive 15.5 points.
I'll go first. It's just too many points.
Yeah.
Mike Gundy has a great record against Texas historically. I think that the way that Oklahoma runs the ball with Ollie Gordon will melt the game away. I think that's just a recipe for staying inside of a number. I'm not predicting an Oregon State win. I really think Texas is going to win the game, but that's just way
Oklahoma
too many points.
State.
What did I say? Oregon?
I said Oregon.
Excuse me.
The
other, yes.
Black and orange OSU.
Yes, I'm going to go with the Pokes to cover. Texas wins the game. Something like 31-21 would give me the Pokes to cover.
Give me Texas to cover this game.
Stop it!
It's a lot of points, but listen to me. You said that running game is going to melt the clock. I don't think so. That Texas defensive front is stout. It is going to be very hard for Ollie Gordon to get anything going on the ground, and you can't depend on Alan Bowman. You just can't. So I think that defensively or offensively, Oklahoma State is going to have a lot of trouble moving the football. And I think that it's just, one too many Xavier Worthy plays, and it's hit the Texas cover. One too many big plays by Quinn Ewers, and it's a Texas cover. I think that I see difficult Oklahoma State getting anything on the ground, and be a tough day for the Pokes. Give me Texas to cover.
All right, we disagree again.
Game number 3 is the aforementioned Louisville Cardinals and the Florida State Seminoles. Florida State is taking a lot of, almost hate for they don't look like the 4th best team in the country, but what are they supposed to do about it? They're undefeated going into a conference championship game. They can't hope that their starting quarterback is hurt. Despite that, they are only a 1.5 point favorite.
I think you're up first here. It's obviously pretty close to a coin flip.
Yeah, give me Louisville. I think last week was a look-ahead game. They had already cemented their spot in the ACC championship. So I think it was a little bit of a look-ahead game, even though it was a rivalry. I think that, I don't know. This just seems like a game that Louisville's going to win. It seems like the football gods are going to give everybody Florida State doesn't deserve this. Well, if they don't deserve it, give them a loss. And it seems to me like that's what's going to happen Saturday night. I think it's just something that Louisville's going to pop off in some aspects of the game. Even though Florida State has the better players, I just think that this is a game that Louisville wants more.
So I see this a game where Florida State is down is better. The question is, can Louisville pop a couple of big plays? We're gonna make this really spicy. I'm gonna disagree again. I think Florida State wins this game with defense. I think that their defense is good enough to really keep their offense and Toafili and the running game alive. Keon Coleman is able to bail out Rodemaker a couple times. I'm gonna go with Florida State to win the game. I think they have been hearing all the noise that they don't deserve to be there. I think Mike Norvell is a great motivational coach. I think Florida State is going to win this game somewhat comfortably, in fact. I think Florida State is going to win and cover, and it won't be particularly close, which will bring up a dilemma for the playoff team, Louisville. And they're the committee, rather, not the playoff. So.
All right, we disagree again. This is a hot podcast already. All right, game number 4. We're going to the SEC. Bama, Georgia. Everybody's favorite matchup. Bloods. Bama being number 8, Georgia number 1. Dogs are favored by 5.5. This is basically in their backyard. They play here so much in neutral site games and SEC championship games. They basically own the stadium by now.
I'm easy for me. I'm going Georgia here. I put Georgia win the national championship. They're peaking at the right time. Alabama they're just up and down game to game. They have been better, but then almost gacking it. And Jordan Hare against Auburn. I'm going with Alabama to really fall off and Georgia to take it to them in this game. I'm going to take the Dogs to win and cover, probably by a couple of touchdowns. Give me the Dogs and Carson Beck in Atlanta.
All right, we have our first agreement. I'm going to take Georgia also. Carson Beck, when the games are the biggest and the lights are the brightest, he shows out in a big way. I think that paired with the fact that Kendall Milton is coming off an incredible, putting the team on his back kind of a game against Georgia Tech, another scare. I think that there's going to be too much for that Alabama defense, and Jalen Milroe is going to be running for his life back there, something that we really have not seen all year. So give me the Dogs to cover.
I feel this is going to be like a 34-17 Georgia win.
Yeah.
I really do. All right.
Game number 5, and the Big Ten Championship, where our Michigan Wolverines will be facing some of your Iowa Hawkeyes. Wolverines are favored by 21.5 points. That is what the championship game record, they said. It is a huge line for two teams who won their divisions respectively. It's me, I believe, right?
You're up first.
Yeah, give me Michigan. I think that it's going to be the kind of game, like, Iowa won't move the ball hardly at all. Penn State shut out Iowa, and if Penn State can do that, I believe we have the capacity to do that as well. I think it's the kind of game where we go up maybe 27-0, 28-0 into the first half, and then you just play kind of a shell defense, and you just run the ball a bunch to melt the clock. Don't let teams scout you, and come away with a win comfortably and win the championship.
Yeah. I'm going to disagree. I think Iowa covers. I just don't think Michigan is going to put a whole lot of time and energy or disclosure into this game. I think that they will play it pretty close to the vest and just try to win down to down. I don't think Iowa's going to move the ball a great deal, but I do think Iowa just has a knack. You never know how to predict it, but they'll get a score somewhere outside of a long drive. It's going to be a fumbled punt, a broken play, an interception, something like that. I think Michigan is going to win this game, but I see it more like a 26-10 game, something like that, in which neither team goes away from the stadium feeling really great about themselves. I think Iowa has nothing to lose. They can throw whatever gadget plays out there they want, run any kind of exotic defense that they want. No one expected them to be there, but there they are. I'm going to take Michigan to win the game. I think Iowa covers, and everybody kind of feels meh coming away from Lucas Oil Stadium. Give me the Hawks to cover.
All right, we disagree again. So that's 4 that we disagree on. It's got to be the most in a while.
So let's wrap up. This won't count against our predictions, but on Sunday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the bracket, as it were, is released. Give me your final 4, where they're at, and who's playing whom.
Oh boy,
it's easy for me.
Give me Georgia 1, Michigan 2, probably Oregon 3, and maybe Texas 4.
You're gonna have to go Texas, yeah.
Yeah, Texas 4.
Yeah.
Georgia, Michigan, Oregon, Texas.
Georgia, Michigan, Oregon, Florida State. As an undefeated conference champion, and I think there will be some weeping and gnashing of teeth that Florida State is not in the 3 position, because I do think that they're going to take care of business against Louisville, and I think Oregon's going to win convincingly too. But the question will be who deserves that 4 slot, and I think it's just a matter of ranking the best teams. And I would agree with those who would say Oregon is better than Florida State. I would also agree with folks who say Florida State deserves it. What else could they have done but win all of their games despite losing their quarterback? But I think it'll be Michigan, against Oregon in the Rose Bowl, Georgia against Florida State in the Sugar Bowl, and it's going to be a competitive Rose Bowl and not a particularly competitive Sugar Bowl.
It's good.
Setting up Georgia, Oregon.
It could be like a 41-7 kind of a game in the Rose Bowl. See if there's a stat. It's like the average points per game differential in semifinal games like 19 points, so they're never particularly close. Last year was close. We had 2 great games, but
I think for me the turning point of this year maybe was the Oregon at Utah game where Oregon got off the mat and won 35-6, and just kind of announced that they were going to come back from that defeat against Washington stronger and better. And Washington has sort of coasted, but I know I picked Georgia over Michigan for the national championship. I'm going to modify that right now to being Georgia over Oregon, but we'll see how things go when we get to Sunday afternoon and all the speculation ends, and we'll see a few other big bowls slotted in fairly quickly, and then probably by the end of the day, almost every team who is qualified will be in a bowl, and we'll have
the postseason starts.
And the postseason starts. So, and we'll also see with 4 differences of opinion how this turns out between you and I as we head toward bowl season at the end of week 14. Season's gone fast.
It's gone very fast. It's been a great season.
Yeah, it's been an interesting season. Good quality college football. Maybe one of the chalkier seasons we can remember. Yeah. It hasn't been a year rife with chaos and upsets. It's been a lot of better teams finding ways to win. And the end of season top 10 is going to look pretty similar to the preseason top 10, I really believe.
Yeah, I said this a lot. I think the 12-team playoff came 1 year too late. This would be a great year to have it. There's so many good teams. There's just, you can't fit all of them in 4 spots, and that stinks. So teams like Ohio State, who really might still be one of the 4 best teams in the country, won't get a play, and will have to play maybe Tulane in the Fiesta Bowl or something like that. So, obviously I can't feel too bad for Ohio State fans, but as a college football guy, you certainly would wish that they would get a shot at a national championship. But they don't.
Yep. I still wish it was 16, but we'll take 12. I think 12 makes sense in light of just the value you want to put on the regular season and counting all those games. So having a bye to get healthy in the first week is of great value to those top 4 teams. But a lot to talk about when we get to be 2024 Preaching the Prodigy podcast season. All right, until next week when we'll talk a little end of season wrap up. I'm the Preacher.
I'm the Prodigy.
You know what to say.
Peace. See you next week.